All right. And then there obviously will be time for questions at the end. We have drawings up against that wall. I think some of you all looked at the drawings already to see exactly what this project is doing directly adjacent to your property. Hopefully by the end of the meeting, you'll have a really good sense of what KC Water is trying to accomplish with this project through the Smart Sewer program, as well as some of the challenges KC Water faces in regards to wastewater and stormwater. Hopefully this gives you a good sense of the exact infrastructure that's in your neighborhood and how that'll be improved. And then trying to get some feedback for what we can do to engage with you during the construction period to make sure that your needs are taken care of. So with that, I'll hand it over to Brian Hess and he'll talk about the program.
Thank you, Drew. Again, Brian Hess, I'm with KC Water. And this is great to see everybody turn out tonight. We haven't had public meetings for very long now that have been in person, and really we haven't had a turnout like this for quite some time. So it's great that you are all here, and we really appreciate that. With KC Water, we are actually 3 utilities in one. So we produce water, the drinking water, we treat the wastewater, and we also deal with the stormwater as well. So KC Water is got many divisions and many maintenance programs and many things that we're dealing with on a everyday basis to get water, take care of the water, and then get the water back to where it came from. Kansas City sewer system, which is what we're going to talk about with this project tonight, is basically we have 2 different kinds of sewer systems in our city. One is the combined sewer system, and the other is the separate sewer system. The combined sewer system is that older part of town where we had wastewater that was carried away, and then stormwater was actually carried in the same pipe. So those were mixed together, and those are usually in the older areas of town, downtown, some of the areas just outside of that. This map actually shows kind of an outline of where that blue area is there of our combined sewer. Those date back to about 1857, and we got about 1,000 miles of that. So it's a smaller portion of the city sewer system, but it is very significant. And then the separate sewer system is where we have wastewater that's carried in separate pipes. So only wastewater is in that, or at least that's what's intended. And then the stormwater is carried in separate pipes, curb inlets and other pipes that take that from the streets and other areas and take it to our creeks and rivers and streams. So the combined sewer system, basically, we have a single set of pipes like I talked about. So the wastewater from houses and businesses and such goes to those pipes. There's a dam in the pipe that actually keeps and redirects that wastewater to go to the wastewater treatment facility, pump stations and other things to take that water, wastewater to be treated. When we get to a point where there's stormwater that gets into those pipes too, which is what it's designed to do, is take the stormwater. There are occasions when it's going to go over that dam and that mixture of wastewater and stormwater gets out and goes directly to the creek. It's very diluted, but it does happen. And then that also increases the flow that goes to our treatment facility. So the stormwater fills up that pipe that goes to the treatment facilities as well when it overflows. The separate sewer system, which is the system that we're working on in this project that we'll talk a little bit more about tonight, is the separate sewer system. We have wastewater that is carried in its separate pipe. And then we also have stormwater that's carried in its separate pipe. So those two are intended to be separate. The wastewater pipe that comes from the houses and businesses goes to the treatment facility. It does not, we do not intend to connect or have any stormwater go into those pipes. So we can maintain that as wastewater on its own. And then the stormwater is collected in separate pipes that go to the river, go to the creek, go to the stream. And those are the curb inlets and other things that you see along the street collect that stormwater and then pipe that to the creek or river. The sanitary system, though, what we want to do when we keep that separate is try and keep that tight. Because any excess flow that gets in there, then we have to treat that. It also causes backups. It can cause issues and blockages when there's roots and such that get in there. But the intention is to try and make that system tight so that we're only holding wastewater, transporting wastewater to the treatment facility. And over time, you saw on that one slide that we had separate sewer systems that were built back in the 1960s. Over time, those get worn out, crumbly, cracks, all kinds of degradation that takes place over time. And our intent with these types of projects are to go in and fix those types of issues that can cause rainwater to get in or wastewater to get out. And some of those challenges that we talk about with this is sewer overflows during wet weather. A wastewater pipe that gets a lot of rainwater in it then gets over capacity, and the next thing you know, we'll have some sort of bubbling manhole. And then again, you're having mixed wastewater and stormwater that's getting out into the environment. We've got a very aged system. Obviously, mid 1800s is when our first systems were put in place. The separate systems are a little bit younger than that, but they're still getting aged. And those sewer backups, like I talked about, is one of the challenges that we're trying to deal with. But really what we're here to do is try and address water quality throughout our entire city. And that's by keeping wastewater out of the environment, trying to keep it go directly to treatment plants where it could get treated and protect those lakes and rivers. Also, a lot of this has to do with what kind of sewer rates that we are paying. In the past, we've not had enough funding going towards maintaining our system, and our wastewater infrastructure suffered from that. So these types of projects that we're going to be doing here in this neighborhood, this area, is to try and bring those up to current standards, make them watertight, make them structurally sound, and hopefully they'll last another 80 years or more. A little bit about our smart sewer program. We've got a lot of improvements that we're going to be planned, that are planned, and a lot of projects that have taken place over the last 12 years. We've had the smart sewer program basically is in place to address the consent decree from the EPA. And that is mandated program that we have to prevent or minimize the overflow of sewers and sewage into our lakes, streams, and waters. We do that by building green infrastructure that captures a lot of the stormwater, tries to infiltrate that into the ground, keeps it out of the pipes so those flows can pass. We do sewer separation, which is separating that stormwater from the wastewater. That's another big project. That takes a lot of funds to do that because it's a lot of new pipes that go into the ground in built out areas. So it's costly. We do those sewer capacity improvements, inflow and infiltration reduction, which is what this project is that we'll be talking about tonight. We try and rehab those sewers to keep the wastewater in the wastewater pipes, make them watertight, and keep the stormwater from infiltrating or getting directly into those pipes. We also do a lot with capacity, storing wet weather flows, and also upgrades to our pump station and treatment facilities. We've spent approximately $1 billion since 2010 on our program now. There's another through the year 2035, we're anticipating spending about $2.3 billion. That is down from about $4.7 billion, which we had in our original consent decree. We have an amended consent decree that we got just a couple, actually early 2021, that helps us develop projects that are going to be less costly, more cost efficient, I guess you would say, and be able to spend those dollars wisely to meet the same objectives. The program implementation schedule here, you can see that line right through the middle is where we are right now, but we've done a lot of projects in the past. We've got a lot of projects still to go. The I&I reduction projects now are in the separate sewer system. and we'll continue to do those over the next several years. But you can see all the different types of projects that we have in there with green infrastructure, doing pump and conveyance improvements. And then in 2030 or just short of 2030, we'll be looking at further measures. So beyond our program that ends at this point in 2035, there's going to be additional improvements required past 2035. So we'll be planning those in the near future and continuing to do our projects now to help meet those consent decree requirements. But this is one of those important projects, and we're glad that you're here tonight to be able to interact with our project team and understand what impacts there may be on your property or near your property. There may not be any, but at least you'll understand what we're trying to do and hopefully where that is too in relation to your property. With that, I'll turn it over to Julie, and you can talk a little bit more about this project.
I'm gonna stand over here so I can see the screen a little bit better. Again, my name is Julie Jensen, and I work with the program team, and I work for an engineering firm, Crawford Working Tilly, and I am the project manager. I'm going to introduce my team, design team, and Haley Wright's in the black shirt. She's an engineer that works in our group, and you'll probably see her out in the field some. And then Justin Salon is in the green shirt, and he is our resident inspector that will be on site full time. So let's get oriented where the project is. So it is in the southeast corner of I-70 and 435. Go to the next slide. I think it's a little bit easier. So the boundaries are really, this is Byram's Ford Road. And then 43rd Street is really the northern boundary with, this is Raytown. So 52nd Terrace on the south side, and then Blue Ridge, I think it's Blue Ridge Blue Ridge Boulevard on the right side. We contracted with the city a couple of years ago to design this project, and you might have noticed probably 2 years ago that we did some smoke testing in the area. So that was part of this project, and what our goal was to really find out where the pipe has defects or what connections were, house connections were connected to the sewer. So we took that and we televised the sewers. It was about 140,000 feet of video we watched, and we did see some flow monitoring in the sewers to determine where the high infiltration spots were. And then we took all that information and we came up with a design for the project on how to reduce the most water for the most cost effective ways to get that water out of the sewer. So after we did the design, this is the rehab or the replacement numbers that we are going to do. So they are going to be cleaning and televising and then lining about 48,000 feet of pipe within this whole basin. And then I think there's 1 or 2 open cut full segment replacements they're going to do, manhole to manhole. And then 66 point repairs. And I'm going to get into what each one of these is here in the next slide. We're going to do 23 cured in place pipe point repairs so they don't have to dig up the sewer. 638 lateral, well, 674, whatever that is. 800 laterals are going to be rehabilitated as a part of this project, and then up to 275 manholes. Havens Construction was the contractor that was awarded the project, and they were awarded notice to proceed on August 22nd, August 13th, or whatever the date was. July. Oh, it was July. And they have about 395 days plus an additional 60 days to complete the project. Okay, next slide. So what we try to do through the design is to make, recommend most of the repairs to be trenchless, which means they are not going to be digging on your property. So this is one that they're going to be lining the sewers. So in Situform is the contractor that will be lining the sewers. And they basically stick an inverted sock with resin in it inside the pipe through manholes. And then it'll cure and form a new pipe within the existing pipe. So you will be receiving door hangers and notifications before the contractors are in the area, because they'll have to block the flow. So they won't want you to flush the toilets, use your sinks during that time because the pipe has to cure. Okay, and then this is a picture right here of the lateral lining they're going to be doing. And they basically stick a packer with felt and resin inside the manholes and go up and they'll stick like a inverted sock up your lateral, basically, and make that a watertight connection when your lateral goes into the main sewer. And then this is the CIPP point repair that we were talking about. It's basically a short liner that they can go in and, if there's cracks or broken pipe or whatever, it'll just fix that piece. It'll cover up that piece of, the broken area. And then if they can't do any of those, we've had to recommend the open cut dig. So we did bring 3 sets of plans and, we would like to probably talk to everybody to see what we're gonna be doing on your property because we may have to dig on your property. The contractors will notify you well in advance if we have to, but there are just some locations we can't do it trenchless, so we will have to do it. And then the other picture is the manhole rehabilitation. Not sure how many castings we're replacing, but they will have to be digging in the streets or in the yards to replace the metal lid that sits on top of the manhole, which is a casting. And then they're gonna be spraying a cementitious liner in some of the manholes to stop that infiltration from coming in. What to expect during construction. Justin will be on site majority of the time. The contractors will be there on site all the time. Feel free to talk to them. You will be getting door hangers before they enter your property. So we will try our hardest to communicate as the best we can. You will see sewer cleaning equipment. They are required to clean these sewers before and they clean before and televise the sewers before they do any rehab. And then they have to televise it again post-construction, so we know exactly what was done to that pipe. So you'll see a lot of sewer cleaning and CCTV closed circuit television trucks in the area. Some of the equipment will be large, and it'll be dusty, and they're gonna do their best to keep the area clean. And there will be some temporary street closures, lane closures, but everybody will be notified and, they have to put together a, road closure plan and submit it to Public Works, and get that approved. So everybody will be notified in advance. During that CIPP curing process, you will see smoke coming from the manholes. The contractors will ask you to put water in your floor drains, typically in your basement. So water fills up that trap, so the steam doesn't get into your house. If that happens, you might be alarmed, but just open your windows, open your door. The siren has a little smell to it, so they'll want to air out your houses. In a lot of the cases, there is some work to be done in the backyards. There are quite a few actually, trees and power poles and sheds that are on top of the sewer. So, some trees may have to be taken out. Couple sheds may need to be moved. But we'll deal with the property owners on a one-by-one situation. I think that's probably it for that slide.
Julie, can I ask a question for just based on that previous slide? Could you or Eric maybe just talk a little bit about the restoration effort that will happen?
Sure. You want to speak?
What was the previous slide?
Well, he just saying restoration for the project in general.
Restoration will be ongoing. Every time a hole's dug, it will be restored before we go dig again.
Exactly. So basically, you're not going to tear your yard up and leave it. Exactly. Just like that.
Yeah, and they actually need to fix it before we pay them.
Right.
If you put the concrete wall down, you're gonna put the concrete wall back.
Exactly. Something like that would happen.
Because
Yeah, you're the one we talked to before. Yeah.
They're going to restore the area. So,
Yep, they're very familiar with that. I've mentioned your property
Okay,
several times. Yeah. And once they get in there, if we think we can line it, then we won't have to even mess with your wall.
okay,
It was just a pretty bad connection right there.
yeah, thing.
Yeah. So. This is, the code is probably, is it on these? No. I don't know where they get the code. Do they just click on it?
Yeah, it's a QR code, or you can just go to kcsmartsewer.us/RGB for Round Grove Basin.
Oh, it is, okay. I see.
That'll have updates around the project, if anything changes or we need to notify the public. Also, this recording will be on that website if you want to distribute it to your neighbors who aren't here tonight. So that's where you can get more information about the project. Eric will also be notifying you if you're going to be affected.
And I think our contact information is on there and the project schedule is on there. You can get up-to-date information there. And then again, here's all the information for the contacts in this room, but it's also on that QR code. Or just go to that website. What did I miss? I
I
usually miss lots of stuff.
want
So
to
go ahead.
apologize, I came in late, but what's the projected time frame on the completion of the project?
They have 395 days to finish it.
Really?
So they're gonna be working in certain areas. They're not just gonna go, I don't know exactly where they're starting yet, but they're, and maybe Eric, you can talk about that a little bit.
Well, we're
more.
gonna start in the northeast side, kind of work our way towards the
West.
southwest.
So if I like,
That's-
well, this area, Sterling and
Yeah.
Blue Ridge areas.
Through the winter?
Do what?
Yes.
Through the winter?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be really, really.
I know.
So you're gonna start, over.
Yeah, can you pull the map back?
The project map.
Up in this area. They're probably just gonna be working.
And
down
we'll
through
work
this.
our way down here.
Are there any special assessments or anything like that?
No, this project is being paid through your water rate or your sewer rate
Okay,
on your water bill.
Is that gonna increase our rates?
You want to answer?
No, not to speak of this project is already factored into your annual storage rate raise. So, what the program Brian talked about through 2040, we have a 6% annual rate increase to pay for the full program. This project is already factored into that. So there's no other assessments, there's no other incremental fee for you because of this project.
Yeah, the city's spending quite a bit of money on this. I think the budget's $8.1 million. We're spending a lot of money in
Be a rate
raising.
increase on our water bill.
Well, not water
That's a
bill.
no.
Your sewer bill have a 6% rate increase to 2040. That is what is paying for all these sewer improvements.
So it's citywide, everybody.
Citywide.
Go back to that one.
Yeah.
Not
No,
in
it's-
scale.
Sewer rate.
It's all of these projects. Your sewer rates are going up because of all of this, not just this one particular project.
will there be a disruption of services other than sewer?
Not if we're careful.
So how long are they usually out of service when we're doing a CIPP line before? it
2 hours,
come back?
maybe. About 2 hours to your line is about it. So.
And then they have to go back and reopen the services. That takes a little bit of time, but
Exactly.
But
Our streets are already in terrible condition. We've just been dealing with a gas project. So we've had a lot of heavy equipment in and out, and so after this is done,
is there any overlay
is the,
set up for that?
we're,
I don't think so. And we don't really have a lot of open cut segment replacements, so yes, when they dig up a lateral and reconnect it or a point repair, they're gonna have to pave this, they were not gonna pave the whole street. They're gonna pave a lane here and there.
There's a website in there that gives the schedule for the mill and overlay. for
Yeah,
KC
yeah.
Mill.
So the Public Works website, CXCD, you can actually, there's a schedule for it. I don't know exactly your streets fall in, but this project predominantly is a trenchless technology kind of thing. You know, you'll see equipment for the open station, then you have everything happening underground, except those areas where you have to open cut, but there are only few.
Well, and they're just little
Yeah.
Yeah.
places.
So it's kind of like a full lane with type of work. So anytime we have to really work through a part of the lane, we have a full lane replacement will be factored into the project. Otherwise, as the gentleman said, that we have a million overlay scheduled for throughout the city that is available in the city website under Public Works.
So there's nothing done north of 47th Street,
Not when you're talking, right? When
Right.
you're,
right in there,
no.
just right straight across from the golf course where we
Yeah.
stop. So they won't be shutting the roads down very often. They will.
They shouldn't use that again.
Okay. Thank
Any more questions?
Anybody, any questions online?
How soon, if they're gonna have to turn off water or dig or whatever, how many days notice are they gonna give us?
I think they're required, how many days notice? 48 hours
Okay,
in advance.
because I know if I work from home, there's several people I know that work from home, or there's a lot of elderly that are right around me that are.
And if
home,
they're just out
so-
doing a point repair, they're not gonna show up. You can still use your, they might ask you to not use your washing machine, but they can usually work around that.
I don't know much about all of this, but the sewer lines, do they run under the streets or are they adjacent to the streets? How does that work?
Sometimes it depends on the flow of the land. Some of them are in the backyards. There's a big creek that runs through here, Round Grove Creek, kind of runs through all this. That is the big reason we're doing this project, because that creek is getting into the sewers.
Okay.
So a lot of that work is gonna be, if you live in this area, we will
You
be
mean
probably
the
working.
runoff? Or are you talking about an actual?
A lot of it, because it seeps through the ground and gets into the sewer where the cracks are. Or the joints.
So there's a large sewer line that runs adjacent to that creek.
Crossing it in a lot of places, and then the water infiltrates down into the sewers.
I don't know of a creek. All I know is.
Yeah, there's like a concrete line channel.
Storm drain. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Storm drain?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a creek.
Yeah.
Creek is natural.
Well, there's some challenge.
Kind of hard to see on that, but
They just came down through, Evanston and Bibkid.
water. That was our project too, actually. Yeah,
They are bench, but they have, that manhole in that cul-de-sac runs out to
Yep.
the sewer line that runs parallel to the railroad line. What's the odds of them having to get up through a brand new sewer line or water main?
you know, we'd have, after this, we're gonna meet, if you have questions about your particular property, we'll meet with you one-on-one and go over what we're doing. I can't tell you right now, but, we'll look at the plans.
Sir, did you?
Did you have a question?
Yeah, there's a lot of runoff from Blue Ridge. Are you gonna do anything about that?
Yeah, street runoffs,
Yeah, I come from the street and the shopping center on the corner.
we're not doing anything with that because that would be a separate storm sewer system.
That's what
It's a separate system there.
it is.
There should be. There should be. Yeah,
It happened for years.
really.
Any other questions?
So you're just doing wastewater, you're not doing any storm runoff project?
Now, if we find a inlet that is connected to this, I mean, we haven't found one yet, but if we find one, we'll disconnect it. There's a possibility. So if you know of one, let us know.
That the same for single family residents. If, I know in the older parts of town, sometimes they take the runoff from the roof and stuff and put it in the tile and connect to the sanitary.
Yeah, that's why we did some smoke testing to try to catch those locations. We didn't find any. We did find 17 clean out caps that were gone, so we're gonna be replacing those. So if you have a clean out in your yard, we will be replacing those. I just put a cap on it. Yeah, so city has a different program if you do have a sump pump connected to the sewer. They can assist in disconnecting those, but they're not supposed to be connected in this area.
Right.
But you aren't supposed to have sump pumps?
Connected to the sanitary sewer.
I'm on Savers. That's.
Yeah.
On this, these things in here, what does the asterisk mean by the addresses?
I think that might be a good way to.
Yeah.
Okay, be patient, yeah, be patient.
What we can do is meet with you individually if you have questions and you are in that area that we had outlined in red. There's 3 sets of plans back here. And we can meet with you individually to check your property and see what kind of improvements are going on in your